Once again, racism raises its ugly head at OU. Latino students worry about their future under Trump, and we'll show you how 75 Oklahomans could have saved their own lives. This is OU Nightly. An OU student is suspended, and campus police are investigating racial threats made to students at the University of Pennsylvania.
The threats appeared on the phones of African-American students at Penn through the messaging app GroupMe. These are some of the Penn students who have been receiving messages that are blatantly racist and threatening. Some use the N-word and included other racist threats. One even included an event invitation for a lynching. Students of all different backgrounds at the Philadelphia campus stood out in the cold Sunday night to show support for their classmates.
I remember back when we had the SAE incident that I thought that was just an isolated incident. I certainly didn't expect to see another incident like that while I was here.
The investigation into the racist messages led the FBI to Norman, where they met with OU administrators. President Boren says the university quickly concluded there was sufficient evidence to temporarily suspend the student while OU continues its investigation. Boren says it appears the messages did not originate at the University of Oklahoma. He says OU has made it clear that we will not tolerate racism or hate speech that constitutes a threat to our campus or others.
Born in the spring of 2015, famously closed the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity after a video surfaced of fraternity members singing a racist chant. The incident brought national attention to OU and created an outcry on campus for greater diversity. Some OU students are worried that the Pennsylvania messaging incident exposes lingering racial problems.
And there's more. Racist posters greeted the OU community as they arrived to campus today. Professor Kathleen Crowther walked into an ugly surprise on a wall at the Physical Sciences Center. The posters espoused racist beliefs and white separatist philosophies. Dr. Crowther shared pictures on Twitter, then contacted the bias hotline and OU PD.
Wanted to get it down, and I think all of us who saw these wanted to get them down before, we were in before 9, usually by 9 o'clock there's a lot of students in the building, and we just wanted to get everything down as soon as possible.
And OU PD has possession of the posters and is investigating.
Hateful words and racist actions are prompting Americans to borrow a European symbol of solidarity. Americans are wearing a simple safety pin to show they're standing up to discrimination against oppressed communities. The symbol is flooding Twitter as people show they want all Americans to feel safe. Citizens of the United Kingdom began using the pins as a silent protest after the Brexit vote. Now it's finally back to feeling like fall.
Definitely. It's been really cool outside lately. I'm wondering if we'll see more of that. Kylie?
That's right, guys. It's warm and mild out there right now, but don't get out those winter coats just yet. We could see temperatures hit 80 degrees over the next couple of days. Right now it's a little bit cooler though, 65 here in Norman, 66 up in Oklahoma City, warmer out in the Panhandle. And if you're still feeling a little bit under the weather, it's because those allergies are still sticking with us. Mold R is at that high level, and coming up in Wayne weather, I'll talk about our next cool down that could bring those allergies away. Back to you guys, the desk.
Thanks, Kylie. The former chairman of the Oklahoma Republican Party, Matt Pinnell, could be on his way to a top job at the GOP. The Tulsa resident is on a list of potential people to replace Priebus, who Donald Trump chose to be his White House chief of staff.
And we're already seeing implications of Donald Trump's victory on the Hispanic community. Just last night, the president-elect told 60 Minutes he plans to deport undocumented immigrants with criminal records, which he estimates to be 2 to 3 million people. Since the election, I reached out to undocumented students on OU's campus to find out how they're reacting to the coming Trump presidency. The reality of Donald Trump becoming president of the United States is igniting uproar in many, but fear in others, specifically OU's undocumented students, protected by President Obama's DACA policy. DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. It grants a work permit to students who came to the United States before they were 16 and shields them from deportation.
So I'm from Chihuahua, Mexico. I was born there, and I was brought over to the United States when I was 3 years old.
Meraz, a political science sophomore, says when her family found out that Trump will be president, they cried together, and her parents apologized to her for bringing her here.
They apologized for making my life a million times easier than it was for them, and that hurts. That hurts that we have a president that is okay with people mourning, because that's what a lot of the population is doing right now, is mourning.
I was born in Guanajuato, Mexico, and I lived there for about 5 years until my family brought me here to the United States.
Ruth Crucis, a pre-med sophomore, says what she fears the most is her parents being deported one day without her knowing.
I don't know if they're home or not. I don't know if they're safe or not, just because I'm not there.
Angelica Villalobos works with the United We Dream organization to help Oklahoma students register for DACA. But she says DACA was never the right solution.
I was never comfortable with DACA because DACA was always temporary, and I knew that since the day one. I'm not going to be fighting against Donald Trump. I think that we're past that now. I think we need to be fighting for our human and our civil rights.
Trump has wavered on his immigration stance, so it's difficult to predict what he will do. Villalobos encourages students not to cower in fear, but to advocate for their rights. Allie Stratton, OU Nightly. And Villalobos told me she sees 3 options for what Trump could do with DACA. First, he could eradicate the program entirely, or he could prohibit new applicants but let those already enrolled keep their DACA. Finally, he could let current permits expire so that current DACA students won't be able to renew their permits.
And immigration isn't the only thing on Trump's plate. Emily Akins joins us in the News Center.
Eric, it's not quite a week after Americans handed Donald Trump a stunning upset victory, and now he's facing sharp criticism for naming his campaign chairman and former Breitbart News head Stephen Bannon his new chief strategist at the White House. Critics say Bannon supports anti-Semitic, racist, and misogynistic views. And the president-elect is pivoting away from the backlash by planning meetings with some of the United States' biggest allies. Trump has contacted the South Korean president and next week plans to meet in New York with the Japanese prime minister. Trump also spoke by phone today to Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss future ties. Trump is transitioning from campaigning to governing, with plans to lay the groundwork for his policies that will take effect in January. And ISIS fighters launched a series of suicide bomb attacks in a city south of Baghdad today, killing at least 14 people and wounding dozens more. The 2 explosions this morning were the first in the south of Baghdad since the operation began a month ago. Iraqi forces are continuing to fight ISIS in the northern city of Mosul. And Erick, the longtime host of the PBS show Washington Week and co-anchor of the NewsHour, Gwen Ifill, died today of cancer at age 61.
We're sad to hear that. Thanks, Emily. And still ahead on OU Nightly, big changes to the federal government could mean big changes to the climate.
Plus, the Obama administration makes steps to increase renewable energy development.
Welcome back to the OU Nightly Earth Report. We are about halfway through November, and this morning I wore a tank top to work out. Why does this matter, you ask? Well, the UN World Meteorological Organization reports 2016 is very likely the hottest year on record. Even though the year is not over yet, the agency was able to make such a prediction based on the jaw-dropping heat seen throughout much of the year, which has been 1.6 degrees Celsius warmer on average than temperatures for the pre-industrial Earth. Some scientists have said that we could cross over the 1.5 degrees mark for good by 2030. But despite great concern over temperatures and how the election of Donald Trump as the next U.S. president could stall global climate policy, scientists published a projection on Sunday stating that for the third straight year, carbon dioxide emissions did not show much increase during 2016. The news comes from the Global Carbon Project, which is comprised of a group of scientists who measure how much carbon dioxide humans emit each year, as well as how much is absorbed by plants, land surfaces, and the oceans. Prior to 2014, CO2 emissions steadily grew each year, but for the past 3 years, emissions have flattened to a steady rate. Glenn Peters, scientist with the Center for International Climate and Environmental Research in Norway, says that this leveling is due to a decline in emissions in China and the United States. And the Obama administration took a major step toward encouraging the development of renewable energy on federal lands. 6 western states will now have an established bidding process, similar to how oil and gas leases are awarded, designed to allow quicker development of renewable energy such as wind and solar power on public land. Under the current system, it can take up to 18 months to 2 years to permit a renewable energy project on federal lands. The new rule could cut that time in half in the areas designated most suitable for development. The rule will go into effect 30 days after it is published in the Federal Register, which is expected to happen in the next few weeks. And for those of you that stepped outside last night or early this morning to look at the supermoon, the full moon was the largest since 1948, and the full moon won't come this close again to the Earth until November 25th, 2034. Just a little fun fact.
That was really exciting.
It was fun to watch.
Thanks, Courtney. Many people across America still don't wear their seatbelts, with Oklahoma's seatbelt use rate around 85%. 223 Oklahomans died while driving without wearing a seatbelt last year. 87 of those passengers died after being completely ejected from their vehicle, and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says that more than 3 out of 4 people who are ejected during a car crash die. The NHTSA estimates that 75 more Oklahomans who died in 2015 could still be alive if they buckled up.
And if you're looking to avoid driving altogether on OU's campus, SGA will be implementing a bike share program in the coming months for students, something the current administration was working towards for the past year.
We'll find biking a much better option now that they don't have to take care of a bike, and they can just pick up a bike anywhere on campus and then leave it at a different location.
SGA will be rolling out 75 bikes and 10 racks across campus that will be exclusively available to OU students for free for 2 hours at a time. Now, still ahead on OU Nightly, Kylie Capps is going to be here with the weather.
Warm and sunny outside right now, but big changes are ahead of us for the end of this week. That and more coming up in Maine weather. Welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Kylie Capps. Looking at our satellite radar, very quiet across the entire United States. Some dissipating showers up in the Pacific Northwest and quiet over our region, over Oklahoma. But later on this week, this map's going to look drastically different. We're expecting a major cool down to come through late Friday night into Saturday morning. So we're entering a more active pattern, that late week cold front, bringing with it much cooler temperatures, 20 degrees cooler by this weekend than it is right now. And I've forecasted a slight chance for precip on Friday into Saturday, but I'm thinking that will remain mostly off to the northeast of us as of right now. We'll be looking more at that later on, though, this week. Average temperature for right now for this time of year, 61 degrees. Look how far above normal we are. As I mentioned earlier, we could hit 80 degrees by Wednesday, even tomorrow as well. 79, I forecasted a high on Tuesday, and 82 on Wednesday, way above normal. And look at that major cool down on Friday, and then stepping into Saturday as well. Highs in the upper 50s, much cooler than this time right now. As you're headed out the door tonight, we're going to cool down a little bit more than we did yesterday. Cool and breezy by 8 p.m., cooling down to about 51 degrees by midnight, but it's going to be quiet, cool, and clear throughout this evening. Lows across the entire state, fairly consistent. Those upper 40s, cooler out in the Panhandle, and as you're headed out the door tomorrow morning, again, it's going to warm up much higher than it was today. High of 79 by 5 p.m. Clear skies, though. It's going to be another really nice day. Those winds increasing as well. Again, consistently, highs throughout the entire state are going to be in those upper 70s, lower 80s. Really nice day tomorrow. And looking at our 7-day forecast, again, sunny and mild throughout the rest of the day on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Again, that high of 82 degrees. Look at that major cool down though. Saturday, the high of 56, lows in the upper 30s. Guys, it's going to be a cool weekend ahead of us, but the rest of this week is going to be really nice.
All right.
Yeah, I have to say it's been cooling down in Norman, and it's interesting because I've seen all these Christmas decorations around, but it's a little weird because it's still so sunny outside.
It's never too early for Christmas decorations.
Never too early. You're so right.
Well, thank you, Kylie.
Thanks,
You're
Kylie.
welcome.
And it was a great weekend for Sooner sports. Madison Plott is here with more.
Thanks, guys. One OU sports team made history with their win this weekend, and the Sooners dominated the Baylor Bears on Saturday to move to 7-0 in the Big 12. Sports is next. It was a great weekend for Oklahoma as the Sooners took their 7th consecutive Big 12 win over the Baylor Bears. Baker Mayfield once again played to impress, passing for 300 yards and scoring 3 touchdowns. But OU defense also came to play with Jordan Evans, who was just named Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. The Sooners win 45-24, moving up 3 spots in the AP poll.
It was another impressive performance for that Sooner offense, and they finally got their revenge from that Baylor game 2 years ago. Baker Mayfield came out firing, but he also allowed his feet to do some of the work for him. Mayfield only threw 2 touchdowns in the game, both of those going to none other than D.D. Westbrook.
And our guys made some tough, fighting for the ball, competitive catches in key situations that really made a big difference.
And with Samaje Perine returning as well as Joe Mixon, the OU offense seemed to have all the weapons they needed to overcome that tough Baylor defense. The entire offense seemed to be balanced, which didn't allow Baylor to have any control during the game. The Sooners look to head to Morgantown to face West Virginia, where they hope to continue their momentum in Big 12 play. Kenneth Adair, OU Nightly.
And OU wide receiver D.D. Westbrook was just named as a top 10 semifinalist for the Bill & Cuff Awards this morning. The top 3 finalists will be announced next Monday.
Coming into the season, one of my goals was to be the best receiver in the country, and to see that I'm one step closer to where I want to be is pretty impressive, and I'm proud of myself, but I'm not done yet.
And more of some crazy football. Teams 2, 3, and 4 all lost Saturday for the first time since 1985. Michigan, Clemson, and Washington were all undefeated before falling this weekend to cross-division rivals with only 2 weeks left in the regular season. For more coverage on Sooner football, check out Sooner Sports Pad tonight. Blakely Durham is here with more. Blakely.
Are you doing this whole thing tomorrow? No, I'm just talking. We're not bringing it back out.
Thanks, Blakely. And men's basketball started its season with a bang this weekend against Northwestern State. The Sooners won their 19th straight home season opener with a final score of 97-61. Next, the boys take on Tulane Thursday in Florida at 6 p.m. But Kruger and his crew aren't the only ones in the spotlight. OU women's basketball also won its season opener Sunday against Southern Illinois. The 16th ranked Sooners locked down its defense to take the Salcouis 80-48. The girls play again this Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the Lloyd Noble Center. And OU women's soccer advances with their first ever NCAA tournament victory. With a final score of 1-0, the Sooners defeated SMU in the first round on Friday night. The girls hope to carry this momentum into the second round this Thursday as they head to South Carolina to take on BYU. And in the NFL, the Cowboys and their rookie backfield continue to impress. Dak Prescott had now solidified his role as starting quarterback, and Ezekiel Elliott had 3 more touchdowns in the Cowboys' 35-30 victory in Pittsburgh. He now leads the league with over 1,000 yards rushing and appears to be a front-runner for MVP. And the OKC Thunder lost in a nail-biter last night against the Orlando Magic. The final score was 119-117 after former OKC forward Serge Ibaka cashed in on a mid-range jumper along the baseline with just 0.4 seconds left in the game. The Thunder hope to bounce back after this loss tonight against the Pistons.
That's only fitting that Ibaka would be the one to hit the game-winning score.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Madison.
And we'll be waiting for this event in another 18 years coming up on OU Nightly.
Welcome back. I'm Clara Wilson at the Update Desk. Oklahomans are coming together to protest the Dakota Access Pipeline. Tomorrow morning at 9, protesters are meeting at Oklahoma City's Skydance Bridge for a global day of solidarity with Standing Rock. Organizers are urging Oklahomans to oppose the construction of new pipelines locally and to support the North Dakota demonstrators. Tomorrow's OKC protest is just one of dozens planned around the world. That's it for now. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Clara. And did you see it? This morning's supermoon was the biggest and brightest to rise in 69 years, and the moon won't be this close to Earth until 2034. How close? A normal orbit is about 339,000 miles from Earth. Today, it's about 221,000 miles away, making it seem 14% bigger and 30% brighter. And thanks for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by Gaylord College at the University of Oklahoma.
We'll see you back here tomorrow night, live at 4:30.
Have a great evening.
Good night.